It is Heathery Goodness. But I swear they are the longest purl rows in all of the purl rows in the history of the purl rows that have ever lived. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa, and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. This week, the episode is all about frogginess. I have had so many mishaps with my knitting this week that it is not even funny. I had to rip out an entire project. So, if you want to hear about the craziness of my week, and this sounds like a lot of fun to you, and you'd like a virtual knit night, then grab your knitting, sit down, and stay a spell. Alright guys, I really feel like this week's episode was brought to you by Frog My Work, because that is what I have done this week. Holy cow. I have had nothing but problems, and let me be clear, these problems are mine. They were not pattern problems, although I will get to that with one of them. I do think that there's not a problem with the pattern, but it's just not written in a way that I'm used to. So I will get there. But first, I want to tell y'all what I am not working on, what I'm wearing. I forget to do that every week, and usually it's not a big problem because I have on something that I'm wearing that I finished. This week, I don't. I'm wearing something, and ooh, guys, it is cold enough outside to wear this, so I'm so excited. I'm going to stand up just so you can see all of it. I am wearing the Salty Days by Veronika Lindberg. This is one of my favorite sweaters. And last year, naysayers said, Melissa, you are knitting that. In that yarn, you will never be able to wear it. It's just not going to be cold enough to wear. We live in Arkansas. Well, I love this sweater, and I certainly can wear it. It is certainly cold enough outside today. I just went outside and checked the mail, and woo, I got my knitter magazine. Very wet because it's cold and wet and rainy here, but it is certainly cold enough today to wear this. So this I made out of Holzgarn CeeLo, which is a blown yarn or a chainette style yarn. It is alpaca and wool, and I think that might be it, just alpaca and wool. I won't swear to that. If it is anything different than alpaca and wool, I'll put a little thing down here that tells you what the composition is. But I really love this yarn, and it's beautiful. It's got a nice little halo. I didn't have to hold any mohair with it or anything. And it's just one strand of yarn. And guys, this was such a quick knit. It took me about a week. But I thought I would wear it today in honor of the fact that on the day that y'all watch this, if you watch it the day it's released, will be the first day, the kickoff of the Veronika Lindberg knit along that I'm in. And I'm going to pick up another Salty Days top, but I'm going to make it in a summer yarn, which is Ticklina, and I'm going to make it sleeveless. So, y'all will be able to follow along with that. Next week, I will have an update because I am going to pick it up Saturday and continue working on it. It's a whip, so those are accepted in this knit along, and there's still time to join if y'all want to join. It's over on Lovely Day Knits, her podcast. She's got a whole episode about it, like a little, it's a short episode, but it's a little episode about the knit along. She's got a chat group going both in Instagram and in Discord. We are having a lot of fun over there and encouraging each other. And so if you want to join, just go and let Alicia know, and she will add you to the knit along. And as I said, whips are welcome. So I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to start working on that on the 1st of November. And we'll see if I get it done along with everything else I've got going. Because guys, the struggle is real too, not to sign up for all these new cabled test knits throughout. I had saw 3 alone today, and I want to do one so bad it's not even funny. So I've got to get some of these test knits off my needles so that I can pick up one. I just can't right now. I've committed to 3 that are due in January. I think I've got plenty of time. I don't think I'm going to have any problem, as you'll see whenever I show you where I'm at on them. But I don't want to commit to one that's due in December, and I'm also waiting if Sophie comes out, Sophie from the Knit Pearl Girl, if she comes out with her Finn sweater, That's game changer. I'm going to probably do that, or at least apply for it. See if I get picked, even if it's due in December, because I've been just stalking that sweater. So, having said that, I am not, I'm not applying for the Veronika Lindberg that just came out for the croissant sweater, and there's been a couple of other ones as well. Because I am having enough trouble with my test knits as it is, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, I'm going to talk about one that I'm not having problems with. I'm going to start with my test knits and talk about one that's going really, really well. And it's just knitting up like a dream. And that is the Fosterianna by Melanie Rountree. And you can see here, last week I barely had a cast on, and this week I have already joined the two fronts together. Now it looks kind of small, but that's because I've got it on a small needle, trying to keep it small until I join it in the round. It's not going to be this small. I have gotten gauge. If you look, let me see if I can stretch it out just a little bit. I can't because the needle is just too small, or the cord's too short. But it will fit me, I promise. I got gauge on it, and what I did was, I told y'all last week I was going to do this, and then I did do this. I knitted down, the gauge is 28 stitches and 39 rows. So I knitted 40 rows on this back panel, and I'm going to try to get this closer so that you can really see. And I blocked it, and you can very clearly see the difference between my blocked and my unblocked. This is a JC Rennie yarn. I'm trying to get it where there's no shadows. It's a little hard in here because it is getting dark outside already. But you can see, JC Rennie calls these greasy cones when you buy a cone because it's still got the spinning oil in it. And so you can just see how much and how lovely it was, how it bloomed out. You can see down here, it's much darker. It is more compressed. It's just not as pretty of a fabric. And this is another time I wish we had feel-o-vision and that you could just reach your little hands through here and feel, because the difference in this and how this down here feels, you would just not believe it. It's not even just because it's greasy. It feels gross. This down here, you don't realize that it's kind of gross feeling until you do block it out. But it's rough. It is kind of a little bit greasy, and then after you block it out, it's got this really pretty halo, and it's soft and not superwash merino soft, but it is soft. I mean, I can certainly do it next to skin, but it is just beautiful. And then I think you can see the colors a little bit better after it's been blocked than you can before it's been blocked, with all of that beautiful pink and purple and just heatheriness. It is heathery goodness. Well, I have got this. I did the back. I completed the back. I picked up for both of the fronts, and now I have joined the front. This is a crew neck, so it's not going to be, super long. But now what I've got to do is I've got to just knit back and forth until I get, I forget how many rows it is, but I'll get those rows done. Then I think I do like a few rows of increases, and then I join it in the round. So I will get that done. That will absolutely be done by next week. And I doubt very seriously I'll have the body done, but who knows? It really has been knitting up really quickly. I've been really impressed. And I did time today because honestly, as I was knitting my purl rows, because this is all knitted flat, of course, until you join it in the round. As I was knitting my purl rows, it almost felt like my purl rows were going faster than my knit rows. Now, that was an illusion because I did time them, and it does take me about 45 seconds longer to complete a purl row than it does a knit row. It takes me about 4 minutes to do a knit row and about 4 minutes and 45 seconds to do a purl row. So it was an illusion. I'm not purling faster than I knit, but it's certainly not a much longer time to do my purl rows than my knit rows. So this could explain why purling doesn't really bother me that much, because it's not a slog. Unless we were talking about one project, because there's always one project. Guys, there is always one project. And that is the Elton cardigan by Hohi Locatelli. It is a absolutely stunningly beautiful cardigan. I'll put a picture up here. But I swear they are the longest purl rows in all of the purl rows in the history of the purl rows that have ever lived. I don't know why. And it is one that I'll talk about at a later date, but I'm probably going to frog it and turn it into a pullover. But I digress. Not talking about that cardigan today, just talking about this test knit. So, I've got that going, and I have been calling this Unagi Purl. It's not, it's U-N-G-I-E. I think that's Ungi. Please correct me if my pronunciation is wrong, because we all know I got an accent, and I sometimes don't pronounce things right, but it is certainly not Unagi. There is no A. Now, if it is Unagi, please let me know that as well, because that'd be kind of cool. But this is a J.C. Rennie colorway. I'm really glad that I like it, because when I bought this cone, J.C. Rennie has 500 gram cones and 850 gram cones. And there's not a whole lot of price difference. And you're paying for shipping anyway. So I went, woo, I'm going to buy an 850 gram cone. Yes. Well, that's a lot of yarn, guys, because this is a fingering weight yarn. So that is a lot of yarn. But that is fine, because it is an absolutely stunningly beautiful color. I could see a cable knit sweater in this color. I think it'd just be stunning. I'm sure that I can hold a really pretty mohair. There's several color mohairs that I think would look really pretty with this. I'll experiment with that. And of course, I'm going to get the rest of this sweater done. So this I'm going to pair with 2 whole scarn colors for the flowers down below. And I'll put a picture up here because I don't have a whole lot to show you here. But they're right next to me. I haven't moved them yet. But it's going to be these 2 colors. And they are magenta and peony are the colors that I'm going to use for the flowers. And then I will use some kind of scrap green. I've got a whole scarn green. I've got a green from Goodwill. I've also got a green here that's 10 Pure Ghent that I could probably use for the stems. And then I'll figure out how I'm going to make the little bee, because there's a little bee on it and it's so cute. And I think I have to have it. And it's all duplicate stitch. But I'll figure that out later. Right now, though, I'm just concentrating on getting this joined in the round. That will happen by next week. And again, another wonderful pattern from Melanie Rountree. If y'all have not checked her out, you need to go check her out, because she's got some absolute stunners. And her patterns are just super well written, and they're easy to follow, and the construction is really, really nice. So, can't say enough good things about her. So this one, tracking right along, because last week, like I said, I barely had any kind of cast on. It was just barely there. And this week I've already got the fronts joined. So that is trekking right along, making great progress. Not my problem child. Also not my problem child is the one I haven't even started yet, because I don't have the yarn for yet. And that's the Woody Pullover. I'll pop a picture up here. One of these days I'll get my yarn in. I think it should probably be here this week. And I'll grab that yarn, I'll swatch, I'll do all the goodness, and then I will start that as well. And then, for test knits, last but not least, is in fact, the problem child. The problem child that is absolutely beautiful, stunning, and I really, really like. And my yarn just fell over. And this is the Arrayn sweater by A Pearl Can Dream. Wow, it is beautiful, guys. Look at this. Look at that. I just love that pattern. It's what drew me to it and what made me want to knit it. And it is fully reversible. I did not know that whenever I put in to knit it, but it is fully reversible, which is where it got me. I had knitted almost the entire back. So this is, I think I just completed row 30. I had completed row 60, so I'm only about halfway where I was before, when I noticed that I was off. I was on the wrong side. She has you put a removable stitch marker here to mark the wrong side, even though it's reversible, so that you can keep track, because you have to do, you know, the row 2 times because it's fully reversible. Well, I realized that back here, all I should be doing is knitting my knits, purling my purls, because I'm just doing the exact thing again. I realized I wasn't knitting my knits and purling my purls. I was actually doing a right side row on the wrong side. I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. And I thought I found where it was a problem. I didn't just take it out and frog it back. I decided I'd tink back. I tinked back several rows, could not find the problem. Decided to take it off. I was going to frog it and put it back on. I did frog it back several rows, probably 10, 15, 20 rows. Looked again. I mean, I put it back on the needles. It still wasn't right. I frogged back to this point where I have just finished I guess a complete like pattern of this. And then what you do is it goes and it makes it different. You'll see next week what I'm talking about. And I frogged back to here and I still didn't find the problem. So I got upset. I just pulled the whole thing out and said, okay, done. And I will put a picture up here of my poor little forlorn, my little ball of yarn and my little cone, because I am using a cone of mohair I got from Woolly Yarn along with alpaca silk, and I had by Sandus Garn, and I had both of these in my stash. So I'm pairing these together, and I had a ball. This is a new ball. The other one was very forlorn looking, although, as one of my knitting group pointed out, did make a cute little heart. But guys, it just looked so sad, and it was just a big old ball of mess, and I tried to unravel it, and I was going to ball it up, and I could not make heads or tails out of it, so I got mad. I cut the yarn. I threw it in the trash. Well, that's done. It was in the trash, by golly. And I stomped around for a while last night. Was this last night? No, this was Monday night that this all happened. I stomped around Monday night. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Hate that yarn. I'd walk by the trash can. I'm like, hey, you're in the trash. Well, finally, sane me yesterday morning said, you know what? I should rescue that from the trash. Luckily, it's not in the kitchen trash. It was in the trash that I use for the living area, and so it didn't have anything in it. It wasn't gross or anything. It was just on top of like some paper, and there wasn't anything on top of it. So I rescued it from the trash. And then my friend Shauna, who, God love her, she loves to unwind tangled messes of yarn. She's done this for me with several different things. And she sat down last night as we were watching Dexter. We're all the way up to Resurrection now. But we were watching Dexter, and she untangled that yarn and wound it up into this ball for me. I'll use this on one of the sleeves because I won't use it in this, because the whole beauty of this being a cone is I won't have ends to the mohair. So I don't want to cut the mohair whenever I have to switch this out to change it to this ball. So what I'll do is whenever I get ready to do the sleeves, or if there is somewhere else that they have me cut the yarn in order to cast on, then I'll use this so that I can use this yarn, because I don't want it to go to waste, right? And it is, boy, I wish I could reach through here and feel this too, because this is like squishy and yummy, and it's really soft and nice. So with this pattern, I have actually struggled with this pattern a few times. And Monday night, I was ready to contact the designer and just say, you know what, I'm going to give up. This pattern is going to be the one that broke me, and I'm not going to be able to test knit it. But I persevered, and I calmed down, right? You got to give yourself time to get past the emotions of being upset, being frustrated, all of that stuff, and wait until your cooler head prevails before you make those kinds of decisions. So I decided I'm not going to do that. Now, if I had run into a problem again with this pattern, I would have bailed, because this pattern is, I have been struggling with it. Part of it, it's not necessarily that there's a problem with the pattern. It's just very, very different from anything else that I have ever done as far as charting and stuff. And I'm going to show you, I have it covered up. I'm also going to put a picture up here so that I can zoom it in and you can see more. But, because this is really, really, really small and you won't be able to see it. But this is the chart, and I covered it up so that we're not showing anything. But I'm going to bring this in really close. And like I said, there will be a picture up here. But what it is anytime I have ever read a chart, ever done a chart, the number that they want you to knit. So this is like numbered 1, 3, 5. There's only odd numbers. That's not a problem. Lots of charts only have odd numbers because the second row, the even numbers, are just knit the knits and purl the purls. Or do it again or whatever. That's fine. But they're always from the side that they want you to read it from. Well, she wants you to read this chart from left to right for the odd rows. And if you look down here, you've got number 1 through 26. This is the gauge swatch chart. So you've got 1 through 26. So my brain, yes, I understand 1, you go from 1. But my brain also said, but 1 is over here. So I did it wrong to begin with. I had to rip it out. I got that fine. She's also got these little things over here, and this is labeled GS1 through GS61. And like I said, I don't think I can get it close enough, but there's these 2 little boxes, and they are labeled right side row and wrong side row so that you can check them off. I do think this is probably formatted more for use with like Knit Companion or one of those things. And I just don't do that. I print my patterns. I like printing my patterns. Another tangent, my printer is completely screwed up. I'll get there in a second. But anyway, I like to print my patterns. So for me, using these, I have to take them out of the sleeve that I keep them in, and then I have to use them. So I wasn't doing that. I got through the gauge swatch. I had to do it twice because I didn't get gauged the first time. The second time was a little bit easier. But I did give the feedback that these numbers over here should actually be on this side. And I had some people that agreed with me, some people who, whatever, they were all dramatic in the chat about how that we didn't understand what we were doing. Whatever. I do understand how to knit. Been knitting for a long time, and I knit a lot of beautiful things. And I've never seen a chart where the numbers are on the wrong side. On the side they don't expect you to read it from. So that was the feedback I gave. Had the numbers been over on this side, I think it just would have made more sense. Got through all of that. The back panel row, the start of it, and more feedback I gave was make it clear that this is not charted. The first part of it where you do your increases on the back panel is all written instructions only. That's fine. I have no problem with written instructions. I can knit from written instructions as well. I prefer a chart, but I can knit from written instructions. But just make it clear, because I went through the entire pattern looking for a chart that was not there. So just make a little note, this part is written instructions only, just continue on. Then, because she has charts and written instructions for all of it, except for that one part that is written instructions only, or at least that I've found so far. So then I get to the chart, and on that chart, she starts at, because you do 12 rows for the setup, and so she starts you at 13, and you go through 13 through 61. Well, she starts you down here, instead of being rows 1 through 12 like you would expect, they're actually, and they are labeled 1 through 12, but they are actually whatever through 61. And then there's 13 through whatever the number is up here. To me, that's confusing. Start it at 13 and just take it through 61 or whatever it is. You've done 12 rows over there. If you need to make a note saying the chart starts on row 13 because you just completed 12, make a note. But this mess was just, and I try to look through whenever I'm doing a test knit like this, I'm a very experienced knitter. When I got over there, I was like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing. But I try to look at these test knits through the eyes of an inexperienced knitter and an inexperienced chart reader. Because if you want your patterns to be inclusive for everybody, if you're saying, you know what, I don't want this pattern to be a beginner pattern, and I don't want beginners doing this pattern, I only want people who are intermediate or above, that's fine. Tell me that. I won't try to look at it from a beginner standpoint. But if you want this to be inclusive and it be a beginner type pattern to where somebody who's not super familiar, because guys, this is not a hard pattern. It's just knit and purls. It's not a hard pattern at all. But it gets confusing when charts and stuff aren't like you expect them to be. So I gave that feedback as well, that I do think for a beginner, either beginner knitter or beginner chart reader, that would have been confusing. Because I'll be honest, if I was a beginner and I had picked this up to try to knit it, I would have thrown it away. I would have never come back to it and knitted it because it would have confused me. Other than that, though, it is a really pretty pattern. And the pattern, like I said, it's not that it's a bad pattern, because it's very, very clear. When you're doing the charts, it's very, very clear what you're supposed to do. The notes are very, very clear about what you're supposed to do. It's just how it's laid out and how it's set up, not in a way I've ever seen it done before. But it is making an absolutely beautiful fabric, guys. And I have to be honest that I'm kind of glad I had to rip this out, because it is neater this time. I'm taking my time more. I'm marking my rows, and that is helping. It is keeping me honest. It is. So that might be something that I'm like, oh, that's really great. And if I have another chart where I have a right side and a wrong side row where it's the same, maybe I will make my own notations and check them off myself if they don't include it. So I am finding that I actually really like that part much more than I expected to. And if I were using Knit Companion, it'd be just really easy to check it off. So it's just making this beautiful fabric. And I really am enjoying this. But I did have to rip out almost like 4 or 5 days worth of work. Now, I did just cast this back on yesterday morning. So I cast this back on yesterday, and I've gotten half of it redone. So it also knits up pretty quick. The gauge is fairly big. It is also 21 rows, which is not that much larger of a gauge than the 28 there. And so they're both knitting up really well for me pretty quick. So that's where I'm at on the Arrayn sweater. Hopefully next week, maybe I'll have this joined in the round as well. I will for sure have the rest of the back panel done. I just can't imagine why I wouldn't also have the front done and joined in the round. We'll see. I'll at least have a lot more of this done next week. Unless I have to frog it again because I make some other mistake, and then maybe I won't have a lot more done, but I expect to have quite a bit more done. So that's my test knits. Editing Melissa here, guys. I was just editing the video and saw where I had said that I had a printer tangent and that I would tell y'all about it later. And then, did I tell y'all? No. So I'll insert this somewhere in there. I have this printer. I print my patterns. I love printing my patterns. I like having a pattern. I print them out. I put them in a clear sleeve. This is just how I do it. So I have a printer at home. And I have an Epson EcoTank. I bought this on Amazon. And within just, I don't know, probably a month or so, it had completely broken. It said there was paper jams. There wasn't paper jam. There was all kinds of problems on the inside. I called Epson. They replaced it. They sent me a new one. It was a refurbished one. But they sent it to me free of charge, of course. And I sent back the other one. A few months go by. Everything's okay. And then all of a sudden it's doing the same thing. Paper jam. There's no paper jammed in there. But it says there's paper jam. So I call them again. They send me another one. I get it. Now it's been running for a while. I could probably call Epson back again. But guys, this is the third printer. I'm done. I am done with this printer. Don't know what the problem is. But this time, it did start out by telling me there was a paper jam and there wasn't a paper jam. But it's not a paper jam. It's a feeder problem. It makes this horrible noise as it's trying to pull paper down and then the paper's getting stuck. So there's something going on with that. I'm not calling them again. I'm not getting another one of these. I'm done. So, I have to go buy a new printer. Don't know what kind. I've kind of got it narrowed down to either a Canon or a Brother, or I might be talked into doing an Epson, but a more commercial type, like a heavier duty one, because I do print a lot of patterns. So I'm thinking maybe I'm printing too much. I don't know. The printer should hold up. It's just normal printing. But anyway, I have to go buy a new printer now. I don't want an HP because I'm not subscribing to their ink. And they're getting to the point where they won't let you do it without subscribing to their ink. I'm not doing that. So if y'all know a good printer, y'all have a good printer and y'all think that, hey, you know, this is what you should get. But I do kind of want a tank printer because I actually like it. You can get a lot more printing with the ink that you like put in the tank. It just seems to go a lot further than buying cartridges, and it seems to be a little bit cheaper too. So anyway, as I said, I'll insert this, and that's my printer saga. Then, you know, I got a gift knit going on. All right. I've told y'all I have 3 little ones that I kind of claim as pseudo grandchildren in Massachusetts. My friend Anna, who is the youth director at the church I went to up there, And we got pretty close while I was there because I volunteered for the youth group. She's got 3 little ones and now 1 more on the way. And I was around for the first 2 when she was pregnant with them and they were born. I made their first baby blankets. The 3rd one, I wasn't there. Now I got to meet him right afterwards because I went up there. But I made him a baby blanket. I'm making this one a baby blanket, obviously. And I always make him a little baby gift. And this just worked out really well because I had already planned to make the girls. I've told y'all several times the story about the yarn, so I'm not going to tell that again. But I'm making the girls dresses, and I've finished Emberlin's, who is the youngest girl right now. But when the baby gets here, she will no longer be the youngest girl because there will be another little girl in the house. But I'm making dresses for the girls and a top that I've already completed for the boy. I'm making a little Henley. It's long sleeved. It's just as cute as button. And when I get all of them done, I'll show y'all one last time. But this is for Azalea, and this is the oldest one. I'm making the Sunday dress by Petite Knit, and I've got half of this arm done. So I've got about half of the arm left. I've had to modify it a little bit because it has you do decreases every 14 rows, and you're supposed to have 140 rows. Well, when I got to 14 and 14 is 28, right? I think I got to 42. And anyway, I realized that I was about 19 centimeters at that point. Or no, not then. I was enough centimeters. I don't remember where I was, but I was enough centimeters that if I went 140 centimeters, it was probably going to be too long because it's supposed to be 37 centimeters. And I didn't think I was going to get my decreases in. So then I moved it down from when I hit 42, I moved it to 8. I did 1 row where I did a decrease at 8, and now I'm doing them every 5 rows to try to get the decreases in before I hit 37 centimeters because I know this is at least 20 and I'm only at 70 rows. My row gauge is never right. That's why I measure and I try on. I obviously cannot try this on, but I can measure it, and I'm going to make sure that I get all of my decreases in before I hit that 37. And I've got 4 more decreases to go, I think. I think I'm at 56, and I've got to get down to 52. Or maybe only 3 more. Anyway, whatever it is, I've got a few more rows to go, and then I'll just keep measuring in whenever I get to 37, because then at 37... and I know I need to do 6 rows above. So anyway, I'll do the math in my head. But at 37, then you change and you go to a smaller needle. You do a purl row, then you go to a smaller needle, and then you knit down another like 1 1/4 or 1.5 centimeters, and then you flip them up, and I'm going to do a 3 needle bind off, but it says to sew it together. So I'm going to do a 3 needle bind off on it to give it that look. So I've got to do some math in my head and figure out where I need to put my lifeline and stuff like that. And so this is about half of a sleeve. And I could have gotten both these sleeves done because I did cast them on earlier, like Saturday or something. I could have both these done, but I just didn't want to work on sleeves that much. So I've been doing that kind of slow so that I'm not living in sleeve hell. And so, because I'm fixing to have some sleeves coming up, I just want to take my time with it. But as you can see, it's really, really cute, and it's going to be just adorable. And this yarn, I can't wait till I get to this part, because look at this. This is like princess yarn. It is so pretty with the pink and the teal and all that. Right now, I'm in the darker part that is a little bit darker. It's not really a gray, but it's a darker, kind of grayish, greenish color. So that's moving right along as well. I'll get this knocked out within the next couple of weeks. It'll be done, and then I'll just have the baby stuff to do. So I'll be almost done with the kiddos' gifts. Those have got to be sent off to Massachusetts the end of November, 1st of December. Got to get there before the baby's due in January, because we've got another little girl coming. I'm going to do another dress for her and a baby blanket. But I should get that done by the end of next month, 1st of December, somewhere around there. So that's it for my gift knit. Then I have 3 knit-alongs. I told you about one of them, which is the Veronika Lindberg that I'm going to do the other Salty Days. I don't even have it in here with me because I've not done anything on it since I showed it to you last week. I will pick it up on November the 1st, which is Saturday, and take it with me to the shop because we knit on Saturdays. So then my other knit along, which this is a shop knit along. And this is the, well, dadgummit. My little Oscar fell off because this is like a really small needle, and I guess I need to put a bigger needle on there so it'll stay. But this is a shop knit along, and this is the Isabel Kramer sweater. And it is actually, even though it looks kind of short, it's really not that short. It's almost done because I've got 6 white bands. I've got about half of this green done. Then I'll have another white band and then another section of green, and then I'll have my bind off. Do my ribbing and bind off. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to follow the pattern, and I'm going to do what she has you do is you do 3 rows of ribbing, like 1 by 1 ribbing, and then you do an I-cord bind off. I don't know if I want the I-cord or if I just want ribbing and do, say, 5 or 6 rows of ribbing and then bind off. We'll see. I'll just see how I feel about it whenever I get there. But I am using my little Oscar cutie little stitch stoppers, my Oscar the Grouch. I figured it went well with the green. But this is the, can't say the word, but it translates to home port. It is the Isabel Kramer sweater. And it is just stunning. It's a really fun knit too because it's really pretty addictive. You want to get this green done so that you can do these dip stitches and then do the green dip stitches, then do all of this green stockinette so that you can get to the next dip stitch. It's really kind of a lot of fun to knit. I'm really enjoying it, and it's knitting up really quickly because, you know, last week I think that I was still at 4 and maybe half of this, and now I've done another whole area. If this was the only thing I was knitting on, I would have had this knocked out in a week and a half. It's taking me a little bit longer because I'm having to switch and not just knit on this exclusively. But I am knitting this in 10 Peer Ghent. This is Rainforest and White. And all of us at the shop, well, not all of us, but several of us at the shop are knitting this. I told y'all last week, Ginger's doing blue and white. Liddy's doing like, it's either charcoal or black and white. Letha's doing 2 purples, so a dark purple and a light purple. I said that Dana was doing shades of brown. She is actually not. Hers is a dark purple for the main color and then like a kind of gold for the stripe. It's very, very royal looking. And then I'm trying to think who else is doing it, because I know there's somebody else that's doing it. And I just can't think of who it is. But we've got a bunch of different colors going. So when we get done, we are going to all wear them. And we're going to take a group picture. I'll run my tripod up there. And we'll get a group picture. And I will post that here whenever we get the knit along done. But this is my one for the shop. And it is the Isabel Kramer sweater. Getting fairly close with it. And then last but not least, and I'm going to need y'all's help on this. I need a little bit of feedback, a little opinions, okay, to see what y'all think. So my last knit along is this Lillehammer, and it is one of my fantasy knits. It's just stunning, and I'll throw a picture up here. It is just beautiful. I'm just doing it in 2 colors, so I'm not actually doing it in the 4 colors that it calls for. I'm only doing 2 colors, and that is these 2 colors right here, which is, I believe this is Spruce and Off-White, or Natural, I think is the actual name of it. This is Dew Store Alpaca, and it is an alpaca wool nylon blend, and it is just super soft. But as you can see, haven't gotten a whole lot done with it. I decided that, because I'm not in a gauge swatch, I decided what I'd do is I'd start with the sleeves. This is a bottom up, and they have you start with the body, but I decided I'd start with the sleeves for a couple of reasons. Number one, get the sleeve out of the way, because we all know I hate sleeves. So get the sleeve out of the way. And then I can also use this as my gauge swatch whenever I get a little bit more of this done. And if I get gauge, then yay, just like the back of that sweater for the Fosterianna, I'm hoping I'm saying that name right, I can just then continue to knit because I've used my actual knitting as a gauge swatch. And it's a big swatch. Well, this pattern, it's kind of hard. And I didn't expect it to be easy. It is a fantasy knit. It is a very complicated color work. But what is getting me about it is it tells you to mark, and I need to put another stitch marker here, but to put a stitch marker on either side of your beginning around marker, and that is your middle of the under. This is going to be the under. It doesn't tell you to also mark the middle stitch of what would be the upper. So there's 72. I have 72 for my size. And this is a free pattern, so I'm not giving anything away. I have 72 stitches, so I need to mark 36 stitches. So this right here is my middle stitch. So from there, I have to count back to see where do I actually start it so that this is always that middle stitch. So I've done all of that, figured all that out, and guess what? Because I didn't do it to begin with, this is off. So now I have to rip back again, several rows down, and fix all of that, and then continue to knit. Well, I was watching a podcast today, and they brought up the Merriest sweater, and I'll pop a picture of that up here. I have one of the Lillehammer and one of the Merriest. Again, the Merriest, I would most likely do just the 2 colors instead of doing a third color. But if I did do a third color, I do have some red in this, and I would only need 1 ball in order to do the red. And I think red would look fine with this. Or if I place another order with Lindy Hobby, I could always throw in a burgundy if they have one. But I also have a hot pink, which would not go well with it. But I would probably have to order some more green in order to do the Merriest if I did it. So my question to y'all is, do you think I should continue to go with the Lillehammer and just use this yarn like I had intended? Or, and this is a knit along, so I'd be leaving the knit along if I did this. Or should I pivot and do the Merriest sweater, which is by Sandus Garn? Should I do the Merriest sweater? Which I don't have to, because I can also buy the yarn to do the Merriest sweater, do like a double Sunday, and do a burgundy and white or something like that. I don't want to do the blue and white and red like the pattern is. I want to do a different color. So I could buy the yarn. That wouldn't be a problem. So my question is, should I continue with the Lillehammer or should I repurpose this yarn? Let me know what you think in the comments. But as you can see, this knit along, that's teeny tiny. That's a little bitty. Don't have a whole lot done. So I don't know. I'll make my decision. I've got to rip part of this out one way or the other. I'm not ripping all the way back because I don't want to do that. So I probably won't even rip it out. I won't frog it. I will tink it. And I'll tink back. It's only 2 or 3 rows and it's 72 stitches. It won't take me that long to tink it. And then I will, if I continue on with this, then I will get it situated where it should be. And then you do all of your increases right down here on either side of this stitch. And so it'll make a kind of funky, color work thing there, but it's going to be under my arm. And as I always say, guys, if somebody is looking really close here, or God forbid under here, they are too close to me and they should get out of my personal space, and I'm probably going to be having a fit if somebody's that close. So, nobody's going to see it. Now, they might see a little bit here because you do talk and your arms will move and you'll be able to see that, but probably nobody's going to be looking that close. So with that, those are the things that I've really been working on. I am still working on my brother's sweater, the Handsome Sweater by Petite Knit for my brother for Christmas. That's another gift knit that I've been working on. And it just sits beside my chair and I'll knit 2 or 3 or 4 rows a day on it. I did do some calculations and I think I need about 120 more rows. So I've actually got to start working on that a little bit more. It'll go really fast once I can focus on it because it's just all stockinette in the round. I've just got to finish the body. Got to do the ribbing, a couple of inches of ribbing, and then got to do some sleeves. I could knock it out in a week if I really focused. I'm not really going to focus because I got other things going on. But I am going to try to put it in a little bit more and spend a little bit more time on it, just doing some stockinette. Meetings are wonderful. I've had a lot of meetings this week. So I've just been knitting up a store. All right. And, of course, no episode with me would be complete without a little Yarny Goodness and a little bit of yarn purchases because I obviously have a very severe addiction. You can see behind me, it's not really an addiction. I cannot buy yarn. And I probably am going to change some things. I'll tell you all about that after the first of the year. I'm trying to make a decision about how I'm going to handle yarn purchases next year. But for now, I'm going to continue on as I've been going. So I have bought some yarn. And these, not everything here has a plan, because some of it was bought just to see, because I do that when new colors come out, and especially if I'm already placing an order. I was already placing an order with Lindy Hobby. I told y'all last week I did order this. My yarn came in on Thursday. So I got the sweater quantity of the Do Store alpaca, which, oh my gosh, again, fill-a-vision is needed. Y'all need to fill this yarn. I got the Do Store alpaca for this sweater. And while I was getting that, because I am already paying shipping, it's not bad. Shipping from Lindy Hobby is not that bad. But if I am going to pay shipping, and it's going to be the same shipping whether I buy that or I add some stuff, I did want to see the new colors. And the alpaca party is going on right now for drops. They have a series. I don't want to say a series. There's usually a grouping of yarn every single month with drops that goes on sale. This month is what they call their alpaca party. It's every yarn that they have that has alpaca in it is put on sale. So they're on sale. So I wanted to see in person the new colors, because they've got these 4 new colors in alpaca. And it is 100% sport alpaca. It's a sport weight yarn. I do really like this yarn. And so I wanted to see the 4 colors, and they've got these, I'll just hold them up like this. This is not a brown. This is actually a really dark, pretty burgundy. And I have a Cascade 220 that would be held with really nicely, but that would make a super warm sweater. Not sure I want to hold that with it. But as you can see, these 4 are all really, really pretty colors. And so these may be in my future. As they go on sale, I'll buy a little bit here and there. But these are beautiful. And these can be held with something else. You can hold mohair with them. You can knit them by themselves. You could hold them double. You could hold them as the secondary yarn for something else. But these are really, really nice. And so I will probably wind up with these in my future as sweater quantity. But I also got... And these are on sale as well, because Flora is a wool alpaca mix. It's 65-45, I think, or 65-35 rather. I can do math and come up with 100. So it's 65 wool, 35 alpaca. And this was a new color. I shared in a previous podcast that I had bought the other one. There's another dark blue that is a really rich, deep, dark. It is much more this color than the other. And I didn't order this to see what it looked like whenever I ordered that sweater quantity. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. But so I have regretted it. So I went ahead and ordered this. It's okay. It's just not saturated enough for me. I don't think it looks that much different than their regular navy blue. So this is not one that I would probably ever get anything with. And then this one really surprised me. I have this exact color. This is called Cerise or Cerise or however you say that. And I have this in the Lima, which is the DK version of this, the exact same content alpaca wool. And I love that color. It's just stunningly beautiful. Well, I got this thinking it would be, because it is darker than this. It actually looks like a different color. I thought that it would be the same color, and I would then be like, ooh, I really need to get some of that. Guys, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. It's too bubblegummy. If I was making a kid's sweater for a kid that likes pink, I would absolutely make it with this color, because that's what it reminds me of. It looks like a kid's color. This is not, even though I think this color tends to look good on me, I want it to be richer, more of a fuchsia, a deeper color. This, to me, like I said, is too bubblegummy. So I probably will never wind up with this either. Now, who knows? I may change my mind, and I may find a mohair that goes with it that's just absolutely stunning, because as I'm sitting here talking about this, I'm thinking, ooh, Pink Daisies by Knitting from Olive, or for Olive, could really look nice with this. I have some. Maybe I'll swatch with it. Who knows? But no plans for this right now. But then I also bought some Cascade 220 from Letha this week. And one, I had asked her to order this color for me. And this is going to be I think you call it Neve. sweater by Natasha Hornsby, otherwise known as Moonstruck Knits. I'll put that picture up here. That is what this is going to turn into, and that one's going to be cast on probably before the end of winter, because I just told you I want to do some cables, and I am really, really craving cables, so this is an all-over cabled sweater. And then this is going to be a Jennifer Steingast sweater. I forget the name of the pattern, but I'll put a picture up here. And I'm going to do this. I haven't quite decided. This is another one of those that y'all could weigh in on. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to add, if I'm going to do a red. This is going to be the contrast color. This black is going to be the contrast. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a red as the main color or a white. So it's either going to be a black and white sweater or it's going to be a black and red sweater. Let me know what you think, whether you think I should go with red or I should go with black. Okay? I mean, not black. If I should go with red or I should go with white, because black is going to be part of it, period. So red or white. It's not a Christmas sweater, even if I use red. But these two, like I said, I bought from Letha. She's also the one that's buying or bringing in the yarn for the Woody pullover, so I should have that next week. I don't know if she'll have the Peer Gynt, because I shared with y'all before that I wanted this as the back for the Saltburn sweater as the main color, and she is able to get me a bag of this, so I don't know if that'll be in this week or not. If it is, then I'll probably have that as well. And that is it. I'm really trying to not go too crazy with yarn purchases because Black Friday's coming up and I have no self-control, and I will lose my ever-loving mind on Black Friday, and I will have, I'm sure, several orders, and I will buy yarn then. And then, like I said, I do have a plan for after the first of the year. I'll share it after the first of the year. Maybe I'll tell you whenever I do my Everything I Knit in 2025 video, which will come up at the end of the year. All right, so I am, as I normally do, rambling, because I really do enjoy spending this time with y'all and enjoy talking to y'all, even though y'all can't talk back. But hey, you can if you talk back in the comments. So drop me a line. Let me know what you're working on. In the community, and there is, I have a community. I've got some posts in there, like where I upload, hey, my new video's out. You can actually share pictures in there. So if y'all want to share pictures of what you're working on, feel free to go into the community of my channel and post some pictures, and maybe we can start a little chat back and forth and share what we're working on and have a little virtual knitting group on YouTube. So I'm going to remember this time to do my little housekeeping as well. Speaking of YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and comment, as well as subscribe to my channel. So with that, guys, I will see y'all next week. Have a great week. Catch you later. Bye.